Okay, so, have you ever, like, totally misjudged something? Like, thought it was one thing, but it turned out to be something completely different?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like mistaking a pear for an apple. Happens to the best of us,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Well, it turns out learning from experience isn't always straightforward, and it gets even trickier when we're talking about, well, the universe's inner workings.
Right.
Specifically, these things called quantum states. They're like the rule book for how tiny particles behave, but they're unbelievably complex and small, like way too small to even see.
It really makes you wonder, how are we supposed to learn about something we can't even directly observe?
Yeah. And how much do we actually need to know about these quantum systems to predict how they'll act? That's what we're diving into today with excerpts from Scott Aronson's lecture on computational learning.
And what makes this so fascinating is that even just looking at a quantum system, just trying to measure it, can actually change it. It's like the universe has these built-in defenses to protect its secrets.
It's true. So, how in the world do we even start to make sense of it all? Aronson actually uses this really cool analogy of a baby learning a new language.
Yeah, just imagine you're a baby, right? And you're just bombarded with all this noise, all these sounds. But somehow you have to find the patterns in all that noise, the patterns that eventually become the rules of grammar, without even knowing those rules exist.
Honestly, when you put it like that, it seems kind of impossible, you know? Especially when you think about how many words and sentences are out there. It's literally endless possibilities.
Yeah, and it feels that way with the quantum world too. Like a single quantum state, the thing that describes the potential of a particle. It can have this mind-boggling number of parameters. Imagine trying to nail down all those possibilities. It'd make your head spin.
And that's where Aronson brings in this really interesting thing called the grue paradox. Basically, it says just because, let's say, we've only ever seen green emeralds doesn't mean they couldn't just decide to turn blue tomorrow,
It's true.
which kind of throws a wrench in this whole learning from experience thing, right?
It really makes you question if we can ever really be certain about anything. But that's where this amazing field called computational learning theory comes into, like, save the day.
Okay, so what is computational learning theory? Is it some secret code book for understanding the universe?
Well, you could say that. It's a field that uses math and computer science to study how we learn from data. And one of the most important things it tells us is this: we don't have to be perfect learners to make sense of the world around us.
Well, thank goodness for that because I am definitely not perfect at, well, pretty much anything, except maybe forgetting to water my plants.
Right. The key is to be probably approximately correct, or as Aronson puts it, a pack learner.
Pack learner. I like the sound of that. So instead of needing to know every single thing, we just need to be like mostly right most of the time.
Exactly. Think about, you don't need to memorize every word in the dictionary to have a conversation, right? You
Mhm.
just need enough to get your point across.
True.
And here's the really cool part. This same principle, this idea of pack learning, it actually applies to understanding quantum systems too.
Wait, hold on. So just like I can get by with my less than perfect vocabulary, physicists can unlock the secrets of the quantum world without having to measure every single qubit.
That's the idea.
That changes everything.
It really does. And that's what's so groundbreaking about Aronson's work. He's showing us that understanding the universe might be way more attainable than we ever thought. But figuring out exactly what to measure, what to focus on, now that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so we've established that we don't need to measure every single qubit to understand a quantum system. But how do we even know where to start? It still feels like searching for a needle in a haystack, even if the haystack is a little smaller.
Right, right. That's where things get really elegant. Aronson uses this example, involves a rectangle, to
Mhm.
show how we can learn about these really complex things from just a few pieces of information.
A rectangle. I am intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so picture this. You have this graph, right? And it's got all these dots scattered on it. Some of the dots are inside this rectangle, and some are outside. Your job is to figure out where the edges of that rectangle are. But you can only use the dots as clues.
So it's like a quantum game of Battleship. You're trying to like pinpoint this hidden shape based on just a few hits.
That's a great way to put it. Now, think about all the different rectangles you could possibly draw on that graph. Technically, an infinite number, right?
Huh.
But intuitively, you know that with even a handful of well-placed dots, especially those close to the edges, you can get a pretty good idea of where that rectangle has to be.
And that's where VC dimension comes in, right? Like a measure of how complicated a problem is and how much data we need to actually solve it.
Exactly. VC dimension tells us about the inherent complexity of what we're trying to learn. So, like, if you're trying to separate points on a graph with a straight line, that's relatively easy. That problem has a low VC dimension. But if you're trying to separate them with some complex winding curve, well, that's going to require a lot more data points, so a higher VC dimension.
Okay, that makes sense. So higher VC dimension, more dots, or in our case, more measurements are needed to get a clearer picture.
Exactly. And here's the really amazing thing that Aronson shows us. Even with the infinite possibilities of a quantum state, if that VC dimension of the problem is finite, then a surprisingly small number of measurements can give us a really accurate understanding.
So we can apply this same principle, this VC dimension idea, to something as intangible as a quantum state, even though we can't actually see it, like we can see dots on a graph.
Exactly. Think of those well-placed dots as carefully chosen measurements in a quantum experiment. They're like those aha moments that give us a real glimpse into the essence of that quantum state and help us predict how it's going to behave.
Okay, so we've gone from worrying about pears and apples to strategically measuring invisible quantum states. My brain is officially blown. But hold on a sec. We're still dealing with quantum mechanics here, right? And doesn't measuring a quantum state completely require an insane amount of effort, like way more than we could ever hope to manage?
That's a great point, and it's something that quantum skeptics often bring up. They argue that as you add more qubits, the number of measurements you need to fully describe that system, it increases exponentially. It's like way faster than we could ever keep up with.
So they're basically saying that quantum mechanics is just too complex, too weird for our human minds to grasp, that we're always going to be one step behind.
It's not quite that simple.
Mm.
Aronson, he tackles this head on using this really clever analogy. He asks, how do you teach a child what a chair is?
Well, you definitely don't show them every single chair in the world. You probably just point out a few examples and let them kind of figure out the general idea, right?
Exactly. You've hit on the key point. We don't need a perfect atom-by-atom description of the universe to make sense of it. And Aronson's work shows us that we don't need to perfectly reconstruct a quantum state to predict its behavior, at least not in most scenarios.
So we're looking for the quantum equivalent of a chair. Those essential features that give us enough information to make decent predictions without getting bogged down in the nitty-gritty. That's a huge shift in perspective.
It really is. And the amazing thing is that Aronson actually proves this mathematically. He shows that as the number of qubits increases, the number of measurements we need only increases linearly. So, yeah, it gets more complex, but it's not this impossible hurdle. We can keep pace.
Okay, that's a huge sigh of relief, but I have a feeling there's a but coming.
Yeah.
There's always a catch, right?
You know me too well. So here's the caveat. While Aronson brilliantly proves that we don't need an insane amount of information, actually finding and representing that efficient description, well, that's a whole other challenge.
So it's like we know the answer's out there, but we don't have the right tools to dig it up. Like we have the map to the buried treasure, but no shovel.
Exactly. It's like trying to crack a code. We know there's a message hidden there, but we need to find the key to unlock it.
And I'm guessing finding that key, those perfect dots on our quantum graph, that's where the real adventure begins.
Absolutely. And the search for those key measurements, it's not just critical for understanding quantum mechanics, but it also has some really intriguing implications for other fields, like cryptography, for example.
Cryptography. Now that's a deep dive for another day. But you've piqued my curiosity. Tell me more about the connection.
Well, it turns out that the difficulty of extracting this hidden information in quantum systems, it's actually incredibly valuable for designing ultra-secure ways to communicate. But we'll save that story for next time.
You've officially hooked me. So, to recap, we've gone from mistaking pears for apples to strategically measuring invisible quantum states, all thanks to the power of computational learning theory. We've learned that maybe understanding the universe is more about asking the right questions than knowing every single answer.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole field so incredibly fascinating. It's not just about unraveling the mysteries of the quantum world, but also about really rethinking the nature of knowledge itself.
You know, it really is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is.
We started off this deep dive worried about like mistaking pears for apples, and now here we are questioning what it even means to understand something in the quantum realm.
And that's what makes this whole topic so fascinating. You know, it brings up this really profound question. If we're ultimately trying to predict how the universe works, how it behaves,
Yeah.
do we really need like a perfectly accurate description of it? One that has every single detail? Or Is it enough to just find those key insights, those really important measurements that help us make good predictions?
So you're saying maybe a simplified view of reality, as long as it includes those essential pieces of information, could be just as good, or even better than one that's technically complete but impossibly complex and detailed.
It's a really interesting thought, right?
Mm.
And it kind of speaks to the power of these tools like computational learning theory
Yeah.
that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
They give us a way to handle the huge complexity of the universe and guide us toward the information that's really important, the information that helps unlock how it all works.
It's kind of like those detectives you see in movies, right? They don't need to know every little thing about a suspect's life to crack the case. Just those specific details, those key facts that connect the dots.
Exactly. And in the quantum world, those dots we're talking about are those well-planned measurements and experiments that cut through all the noise and help us understand what makes quantum systems tick.
So, after this deep dive into quantum learning, what's the big takeaway? What should we remember?
I think the biggest thing is this. To understand these really complicated systems, even ones as weird and mysterious as those in quantum mechanics, we don't actually have to know everything about them.
Okay.
It's more about asking those smart, insightful questions, finding the right measurements, and being okay with the idea that probably approximately correct is actually good enough. It might even be the best we can hope for.
And that brings us to our final thought for today, something to kind of ponder. Okay. If our understanding of the universe is always going to be incomplete, always an approximation of the real deal, how does that change the way you think about knowledge itself? Is knowing absolutely everything really necessary, or is it more about chasing those aha moments, those breakthroughs that really push us forward?
It's something to keep in mind, as you learn new things and face new challenges.
It is.
Often, the most important part of discovery is finding that right angle, that right perspective that helps you make sense of this vast and often confusing universe we live in.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of quantum learning.
I agree.
To everyone listening, thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep asking those insightful questions and keep chasing those aha moments that make the universe a little less mysterious.